Doesn't that remind you of Pokemon that's filled with different Pokemon types that are like 100 or whatever or not? Well, at least in Genshin Impact, we only gotta deal with 7. And those 7 is wind, frost, nature, lightning, earth, water, and fire. All these 7 nations. So the elements in this game, every character has their own elements. That's what makes characters so important in this game. So that's why you need a variety of characters, which you can do multiple things, and that grants so many different possibilities that you can do when you're fighting against enemies. So let's go straight to status effects. So status effects are like debuffs or reactions to enemies. So if I cast an ice ability onto an enemy, then they'll be frozen. Their speed would be reduced, or they'll be frozen. They can't move at all. Or we could do like a fire spell or a fire skill, and then that will cause damage over time attack. So they'll be taking damage over time by the fire. So there's like 7 elements, and that means that each and one of them do something very unique from each other. So you should test them around, see which one you like the most. I feel like ice would be very important because reducing enemy is a big beneficial to your team. So you should look out for ice characters and probably fire characters as well, because damage over time, that's increasing your DPS, overall DPS. We have Geo, which is like a crystallization effect, which is like armor for your characters, and then you'll take less damage from enemies. So that's the basics of status effect. Okay, so now on to elemental reactions. So elemental reactions are basically a combination of 2 elements that does a reaction. So let's take an example. Let's see, swirl. Swirl is the wind element, right? So we combine swirl with any of the 4 elements. So like swirl with fire, we can cause an AoE fire attack, or with swirl with ice, we could do an AoE ice attack. And our main character is swirl, so you already have a guaranteed wind character in the game. You can generate more elemental reactions, and there's a lot of possibilities. So mess around, see which one you like the most. So here we have crystallization, which is an elemental shield for your characters, which reduces damage, and that's probably recommended when you're going against a big enemy and then you can't possibly defend yourself, because this game has no block button. You're only dodging the whole time. So crystallization could be beneficial when you can't do anything and you're taking like force damage possibly. And there's other combinations as well that are not swirl or crystallize. There's also a website that you can look into possible reactions. You could do amber, or example, you could do Zeniet. And then you can see the possible reactions you do. Okay, they're both fire. There's no reaction. So let's try Mona. Okay, so the reaction is vaporize, which can dispel, which can deal ×2 hydro damage. So when you're playing the game, or you're using this website, it'll probably help you remember these reactions. This game's all new, so you'll probably learn as you play the game. The last knowledge for elements is elemental resonance. So what this basically means is that when you have a certain team composition of all unique elements, which is like all different elements, or you have 2 of the same element, it grants like a bonus passive for your team. So like say if you have 4 unique elements, so you got fire, water, ice, and wind, then you'll grant elemental resistance 15% for all your whole team. And that's pretty good actually. So that's when having a variety of character elemental unique. And that's also why I recommend having a variety of characters, is because you can have many possibilities and more room to what you want to do for elements. So we can look for a few examples here. We can see like 2 wind characters. You have less stamina consumption, you have increased movement speeds, or basically faster. You could basically run more longer, which I know a lot of people were like. So when you're exploring, you want 2 wind units in your team. Let's see other ones. Let's see so if you have 2 fire characters, you have a reduction on the ice effects on your team. So that means if an ice enemy manages to ice your characters, then that status effect will go away more quicker. and you increase 25% damage. The elemental resonance is actually important, so I recommend having at least minimum of 2 characters with the same element, or having a whole unique team of elements, because that seems to be the way to go. And yeah, that is the basics of elements. You now know the elements and how they work in this game. There's 7 elements, they use different status effects, there's different combinations and reactions to what they can do, and there's resonance on the combination of characters and giving certain bonus to your team. So if you enjoyed that video, press that like button. Until next time, peace.